All right, what's up, everybody? How's it going? I'm just doing a little live stream here. Bringing back. Oh, hi, Roy. He wants to talk to you, my buddy. Um, actually, here you go. Yeah, there's my buddy. He wants to talk. Yeah, I'm just bringing back the Smeggie's cave just for a little bit. See if anyone's out there. Anyone wants to join me. Um, I don't know. I posted a link on the YouTube side. What's going on, Scott? How's it going? Um, I posted a link on the YouTube side, but when I'm looking at the comments on StreamYard, it doesn't show that the link is there, so I'm not sure if it's actually out there or not, if anyone can see it. But anyways, I figure I'm just going to put it out to the world, and if crazy people jump in, I'll just kick them out. I mean, I think that's easy enough. Um, I don't know how it works on here. If like, oh, cool, heading home from work. That's fun. I took today off of work because I had to work all last weekend because we had a bunch of stuff going on. So I worked all last week through the weekend, all this week. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take Friday off. I don't feel like doing like a full 2 weeks in a row. And especially because during the projects that were going on for 4 days, like Saturday through Tuesday, I worked like, at least 12. If not, I'm trying to think what the longest day was like 14 hours. I don't think I quite hit 15 hours this time. But anyways, I just wanted to, like I said, pop in, say hello. I'm waiting for lunch, so it's not going to be super long. Hi, buddy. I forgot my camera was on. You guys want to see the puppy? Yep, there he is. He doesn't know why I'm talking. He's like, "Oh, hey man, just throw some sticks." I don't understand. And there's my other little guy just laying in the sun like he always does. Let's give you a close up of this dude. Hi, Ziggy. Hey, buddy. Oh, hi, buddy. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You guys should jump in and come talk to me because I'm not good at talking to myself. So in other words, you're just gonna see me play with my dogs and ramble on. Although I did have one thing I wanted to talk about. Maybe I'll wait a little bit see if anyone wants to jump in. But I've been inspired to kind of get back into this recently, mostly from this month's Every Second Matters. G Web hosted that, and the fact that he had Jeff Knox join in, and like it was a good conversation, and it's just starting to get me re-inspired. I mean, obviously, I always fight for the Second Amendment, but everyone picks on me that I've been dead for a while, and that's true. So I'm gonna try to not be so dead. And the other thing is that the Texas constitutional carry thing that Clover's been doing. He's had G Webs and Ghosts on those talking during the debate, and it just really got me inspired of like, oh yeah, I like this stuff. Like, no link showing. Okay, let me try it again. And here's another thing. I'm going to see if I die when I close out of this tab. Okie dokie. So when I went back to StreamYard, it said something went wrong. So I don't know if I cut out at some point while I was playing around on YouTube. Maybe you guys can let me know. I'm guessing it did. And I guess I can always go back and listen to this. And if you guys heard my rambling or not, then we'll figure that out. But maybe I can't close this tab while I'm actually streaming as the host. I know you can do it when you're a guest. You can just tab over to something different. But anyways, whatever. You guys don't want to hear me talk about figuring this crap out. Oh wait, I wanted to bring up something. Yeah, you cut out back now. Okay, thanks, man. So that answers that question. I cannot open a new tab on my phone, otherwise it just kills the broadcast. Damn, because there was a really good summary on the Texas concealed carry and the amendments that were added. And I saw Clover went live earlier today, and he was talking about it. But he brought up like the actual language of the bill with all the section 44.39 blah blah blah, which is important to read all that stuff to see what they're referencing, right? Because sometimes it will say, oh, this applies to people that qualify for 39.2.5. And you're like, well, who the heck are those people? So you got to go to that section, read that, and go, oh, that section is for people. I wonder if I just cut out again. My phone just froze. Dropped when you went for the link. Okay, yep, that makes sense. Anyway, so it is important to read all that technical stuff, but I found a really good article in what the hell thing was it? See, I'm scared to tab over to try and find it on the internet, but it was some like newspaper or whatever from in Texas, and they went through like in plain English what the amendments were. So I guess I'll go after memory so that I won't keep dropping out. Um, and I remember the first one that was added is that. Oh yeah, okay. So I have to. It did freeze for 2 seconds. So that's my phone. Like, what do you call it? Like, went to screensaver mode or whatever. So I have to always touch my phone screen so it doesn't like go to sleep. Oh, that's annoying. It doesn't do that when you're a guest on StreamYard. You can sit there not touching your phone all day and it won't freeze. Anyways, okay, so back to Texas concealed carry or constitutional carry. The First Amendment was something about not being able to carry while intoxicated, and I'm fine with that. Like I'm kind of personally more of the thought that like if you end up doing something wrong, like you should be punished for that. But if you don't, like you should be fine. I've drank many times and I've never been like, man, I'm so drunk. Like if I had my gun, I'd shoot somebody. Like, no, I wouldn't. Like even really messed up, I'm still a responsible person. But so, man, this is hard reading the chat and trying to talk at the same time because I don't want to ignore you guys because you're my only interaction that I have. At the same time, I kill myself in the middle of the train of thought. Okay, Texas, constitutional carry. Can't carry while intoxicated. That's fine. I'm assuming that's like the same rule if you have the permit now, right? The LTC is what they call it in Texas, the license to carry. I know it's called different places or different things in different places. But I'm guessing that's probably a rule now. So they were just saying, well, let's like put this in for the constitutional as well. Well, that one's fine. There's another one I remember that had something to do with if you ignore a sign, like going into a store that says, no guns allowed or whatever. There was a thing, I guess it's how it is now. If they have to ask you to leave, and if you don't, you get trespassing. But what they amended it to is that the store does not have to tell you to leave. I think I may be. This is the one that was confusing me. I was trying to get clarification on. I believe if that stays and if that gets approved or whatever, that means that if you ignore a sign that says, "Hey, guns aren't allowed here" or whatever, you can just get in trouble if like someone sees it and calls the cops or whatever. It's not like, oh well, if they would have asked me to leave, I would have left. It doesn't matter. Them putting the sign up was them asking you to leave, whether you saw it or not. So that's the thing that gets me. And I know ignorance of the law is not an excuse or whatever, but use some common sense. Like, I legitimately didn't see the sign. I'm sorry. Like, I've always said, and I mentioned this because in Michigan, uh, those signs don't carry the weight of law. Like, if you ignore them, you don't instantly get in trouble. So they have to ask you to leave. And it's been what I said in Clover's chat was the way I would do it is I just ignore those signs when I'm carrying. And if they ever say, hey man, like we don't want you in here, I'd take my entire shopping cart full of stuff, leave it right sitting there in the middle of the aisle, say, okay, bye. Like, I guess you're not getting my money, and this is all the stuff I was going to buy. And, I've never actually had that happen to me. I know the way I worded it when I was talking in the chat, it made it sound like I do that like they ask me to leave all the time, but it's actually never happened to me. So, and that's the thing with conceal. I guess it'd probably be more open carry, but like with concealed carry, people shouldn't know you have it anyways, unless you need to use it. In which case, then I don't care if I ignored your sign because I just saved some people's lives or whatever. So that's that. Again, that's not the best amendment they had. Like, I'm not super happy with it, but I don't see it as a poison pill. And that's another thing I've been seeing on Instagram and other places where people are saying, oh man, it passed the House, but like, and these amendments got added, and there's a poison pill, and it's gonna kill it, and no one's ever gonna pass it, blah blah blah. And I've asked a bunch of times, like, which one is the poison pill? Like, you're saying this, and I'm not calling you a liar. It's not that I don't believe you. I just legitimately am curious which one of them is the really, really bad one that's going to kill it. So, and I've never gotten a response. All the people I replied to, they've never replied back to me. So I don't know if they're just repeating something they said or something they saw. I think one of the persons said that GOA is the one that originally said that. And I mean, normally I would trust GOA. They know more lawyer stuff than I do. But I haven't seen GOA's comment about it, so I don't know for myself. I guess let's look into it or whatever. I just haven't yet. Okay, so going back to the amendments, what else was there? Oh, there was one for if you've been convicted of something in the past 5 years, then you would be ineligible. And I think it was like the felony thing we know already is covered. Right? Like, if a felon can't possess a gun, then obviously they're not going to be allowed to carry a gun, with or without a permit, because they wouldn't be able to get an LTC and they won't be able to constitutional carry. But I think they added a few misdemeanors like domestic violence and stuff, which, again, I don't see that killing a bill. You can say, well, you have that whole argument, right? The felons, they serve their time. Should they get their rights back? Should they not? Like, it's not something I'm passionate about. And honestly, I don't really know my opinion. I've heard good arguments on both sides. Part of me says, okay, they've demonstrated in the past that they're not trustworthy people, like, because they did violent crimes or whatever. So then maybe don't trust them again. But also, it's like, if that's the case, then, why are they out of jail? Like, isn't the whole point that they serve their time, they get out of jail? And how can you start a new life if you're always like still labeled a bad guy or a criminal from the past? Like, people can turn their lives around and be like, I used to do that, I don't do it anymore, like, I'm good now. So that's kind of a different argument. And as far as for killing constitutional carry over trying to defend some people that won't have their rights, oh, that makes me sound like a jerk. That's, man. See, I'm struggling with myself, but I would still pass the thing and then maybe try and take that out or whatever if it's that big of a deal. Okay, so what else? The other amendment was stricter penalties for someone who is caught carrying when they're not supposed to be, like, a felon or someone else who's for some reason disqualified from owning a gun, and then they get caught carrying one. and it's just I think it added like a 5 year mandatory minimum, which again is how's it going, Bob? Dang man, um, what's up? So mandatory minimums, that's kind of the same thing. That's a separate issue whether you like them or not. Again, I've heard arguments against them. I've heard arguments for them, but I don't think that should kill a bill for constitutional carry. Um, and what else was there? I don't remember what else there was. Dang, I forget. So, anyways, that was just I wanted to speak in plain English about the things as kind of a supplementary information to Clovertech's video earlier, which dug a lot deeper. And like I said, I really wanted to pull up that article I found, but apparently I can't change tabs on my phone without killing the stream. So that would make it hard. Well, I guess I could kill it for a second and then come back. Okay, I'm going to probably go silent for a second here. Okay, I think I'm back. So, I did miss a couple, and one of them is one of the ones that I was also confused on. That's probably why my brain blocked out because I don't really know what it means. So we'll start with the first one that I do know, and that was it mandates that the state puts together like free online training, and I'm cool with that. Like, go ahead, yeah, put some online training, especially if it helps explain to people the laws or whatever. Like, I'm all about that. I do remember during the discussion period that First Amendment was popped in, like, hey, we should make a free online thing. And then someone else jumped in and was like, I'd like to amend the amendment and add in it's a mandatory free training, and that you have to, like, you'll get a certificate that saying you completed the training. That way you could show that certificate to the officer, like proving that you're allowed to carry. And I'm sitting there when the dude was talking, I'm going, that's just a license to carry then. If you have to take a training course and then you get a piece of paper and you have to carry the piece of paper around with you to prove that you're allowed to carry, that's literally what a license to carry is. You know, maybe it's just because it doesn't have the background check part of it or whatever. They assume the background check part is done with the, like if you buy the gun in the first place, like whatever. But I'm like, that just didn't make sense. And I'm pretty sure that part of it, like this, the second, the Second Amendment got turned down, kind of like what all these gun laws do is ignoring the Second Amendment. But the first part of just making the training available online, sure, put that out there. Like I'm cool with that. And then, shoot, I just looked at it. Dang it, I gotta go back. Hang on. Okay, let's. I know I'm back. Okay. Jeez Louise, man. Sorry, man. My dog is very demanding. So let me try and post this. I copied it from the article. Post that. Did that show up? So I've never posted to YouTube through the StreamYard app. And I don't want to close down and open up YouTube or whatever to post that. So I think it's in there. But basically, how it reads, there was the first part that I cut off, but it was like blah, 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 something about they put this into, it doesn't matter. So it says they removed a section that would have prohibited police officers from stopping individuals solely based on the carrying of a firearm and a requirement to expunge certain criminal records. So but like I said, the amendment removed this, like, now put this in quote. So which one was it? It was in the House first, right? Then just wanted to see, yeah. So the House version had a section that prohibited police officers from stopping individuals solely based on the carrying of a firearm and a requirement to expunge certain criminal records. Then the Senate put an amendment to take that part out. So maybe this is the thing. This might be the one that like people are saying is like the poison pill part, because maybe the House really wants this one, and by them taking it out, it might not then pass the House. But I'm not sure if that is or not. But basically, I guess that means yeah, cops like would be able to stop you based solely on carrying a gun, which I don't agree with. That's like, oh, I'm going to stop everyone who's wearing Nikes. Well, why? Well, because some people with Nikes, like they do crime. So I'm going to stop you and just ask you where you're going. And then depending on your answer, that may give me probable cause to detain you or something. That's not how the Fourth Amendment works. That's not how any of this works. And that was during the discussion. This part of it, I'm surprised I forgot, because this was like one of the really heated part where they kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, talking about how, again, this was the Democrats wanted the police to be able to stop people and talk to them. And the dude who wrote the bill kept going like, well, Senator, that's kind of a Fourth Amendment thing. Like, that's not really part of this bill at all. Like, I don't know why you're trying to add that in. But, that one really bugged me, the way that they're thinking, well, we should just be able to, stop someone because, whatever reason, we just because we want to, and then we'll talk to them, and then, they might get in trouble for something. Yeah, that's not how it works. The law is already written about like reasonable suspicion and probable cause and all of that stuff. And one of the things that I forget which one it was. I think it was one of the ladies, but she said, so now a criminal could run around, and because they have a gun on their hip, like they're not legally be allowed to be detained because, you can't stop someone. And the dude goes, no, for one, the cop can still voluntarily like ask you questions and you can voluntarily answer them. You're not being detained. The cop's just asking you. So, like if that's probably what happens now, because in Texas you have to have a permit to open carry. I bet you there's cops all the time that see someone open carrying and are like, hey, buddy, you got a permit for that? And, he's not being detained, and you can choose to answer that or you can choose not to. And then you go from there. And probably a lot of people are just like, yeah, I got one. Have a good day. Like, see ya. That happened to me one time a while back. I was walking home. It was kind of late at night, but I'm walking through my neighborhood. I'm just walking back to my house. And this cop pulls up, and he like pulled off of like the main road onto the side street. I was walking along the sidewalk of the side street. And he's like, hey, man, how's it going? And I'm like, hello, well, what's up? Like, whatever. And then starts asking, oh, what you doing? Where are you headed? And it's one of those things that, yes, I'm a big believer in don't answer questions, but also, I'm tired. I want to go home. I don't want a huge fight or nothing. So I'm like, oh, I'm just out for a walk. I'm heading home. Oh, well, where do you live? I'm like, just up that way. I'm not going to give him like necessarily my address and stuff. And he's like, oh, what street's that? I'm like, oh, it's a couple streets up, and I'm like 2 blocks away. I'll be home in a minute. Like, that's cool. And the whole time I'm talking to him, I'm still like kind of walking, and he's standing next to his car, and I'm walking away from his car. And I wasn't a jerk to him. I didn't do the whole, am I being detained? Am I free to go? I knew I wasn't being detained because he would have told me if I was. Like, he was asking questions. I voluntarily answered a couple. And the point where, and I believe a couple times even in that, I said, he said something. I'm like, oh, that's what it was. He said something about like, yeah, well, we've had a lot of break-ins in this area, so I'm just checking in, seeing what's going on. And so I was like, okay, well, I appreciate you keeping my neighborhood safe, but I'd really rather be on my way. Have a nice night. And then he asked a couple other questions, and the point where I really drew the line was he goes, hey, do you have a license? Like, let me see your ID. And I was like, oh, I'd really prefer not to get through all that. Have a good night. And I just turned around, and then I just kept walking. And he asked a couple other things as I was walking away. I ignored him. So I'm assuming that's kind of a similar thing like I said, with open carry now, if they ask, hey man, you got a permit? I bet you most people are like, yeah, I do. And they, oh, can I see it? And people can choose to show them, or they could be like, I'd rather not show you. Like, I'm going to be on my way now because they're not being detained. So, anyways, that's the but so that amendment, I guess, gets rid of that. So now that means cops can talk to you and like legally see. And it, how did it word? It was worded. I don't think it even said detained, right? From stopping individuals solely based on carrying a firearm. So that's not even necessarily detaining them over it. So you might still be able to be like, well, I'm not being detained, right? So yeah, you stopped me because I'm carrying a firearm, but now I'm going to go because this is a voluntary conversation. And again, I am certainly not a lawyer, so please do not go get in a fight with the cops over it and say Smeggie told you to do it, because that's not how this works. But I'm just guessing. But yeah, so I think that one's kind of a bad one because it sounds like they will be allowed to harass you and ask you a bunch of questions just because you have a gun, and then you'd be like, "Oh, I'm just going to the hardware store," and then they would decide, I guess, either you are or you aren't, and then they go from there. But anyways, that's probably about it. No one's jumped in. I guess I should have checked that before I say that. I don't know what happens if someone does try to jump in, if it like pops up and says, "Hey, you have a new visitor," or if you have to keep checking the backstage all the time. Because I know they don't just get straight like right into the video. But anyways, I'm gonna get going. Go grab some lunch, and I will talk to you guys later. And hopefully, you'll be seeing some more Smeggie caves where we actually have people in here, and it's not just me rambling about shit and my dog barking at me because he doesn't like me. So, all right, take it easy, guys.